Are you a dog-crazed wine enthusiast? Then you have to check out Wags and Wine. Wags and Wine is the only subscription box on the market for both you and your dog. If you're tired of searching for great wines with no added junk and healthy minimal ingredient products for your pup, then let Wags and Wine do it for you. Whether it's monthly, every other month, or quarterly shipments, Wags and Wine sends you 2 bottles of wine and 3 to 4 dog treats and toys. Wags and Wine believes what people need most nowadays is to take a moment and slow down and spend time with the ones you love. And that, of course, includes your dog. As a special treat for Cruit Group podcast listeners, Wags and Wine is offering 50% off your first box and $5 off your shipping with code Cruit Group. That's CRUITGROUP. So head to wagsandwine.com to sign up for a subscription and get ready to slobber, sip, snuggle.
I'm at the top of my class and you didn't get me a job. Getting job somebody. You're going to wish you would. Think of that.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Cruit Group podcast. Ryan Levy here with a special guest, my friend, Mr. Cale Owen, the former CEO of Gym Launch and Prestige Labs and currently a partner at W.O.L.F Gyms. How you doing, Cale?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time coming. I've followed your journey and your career. It's been exciting to watch. And I'll tell a quick backstory. We've actually known each other for a long time. Not directly, I'd say. In a way, we played baseball at rival high schools. And I know you played with a lot of my buddies from Eastlake and travel ball and things like that. But I guess we really, truly met when you were a trainer at Tampa Bay Athletics back in 2013. Shout out to my boy, Jimmy Myers. I know that's a good friend of yours for a long time.
Dude, he's the man. I still tell him he needs to name his gym Jimmy's Gym. I know. I keep telling him, like, it's terrible branding, like long-term if you want to sell it, but Jimmy's Gym, come on.
I know, it's too good. But then we got reconnected in the recruiting world when we were actually doing some recruiting for the acquisition.com portfolio companies and filled a job or two for you at Gym Launch. So it's good to get reconnected with you, man.
Yeah, man. Same, dude. Same. Question, random, going back. Did you play Little League at Eastlake?
I did.
We probably played against each other because when did you graduate high school?
So I graduated in 05. Were you 06?
Yeah, dude, we definitely played against each other in Little League.
Yeah, definitely. Where did you grow up playing at? Was it Clearwater?
No, I played at Eastlake Little League.
Okay, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So I played, that's where I met like Drew, Travis, McSweeney, like all those guys.
Yep.
Foley, you name it. Yep. That's where I met all those guys way back in the day. That's why I almost went to Eastlake High School to play instead of Clearwater.
Yep, I wish you would have, man. We probably would have been a little bit better with you.
I don't know. I don't know. That was a fun little rivalry, though.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. But I want to go all the way back to the beginning. What's one of the biggest things you would say you learned as being a gym owner?
That marketing and sales is so important in a business. And you can work all the hours and be really busy, but if you're not focused on the right things that actually move the business forward, the business will not move forward. And the things that move a business forward, at least in the stages of those, like early stage, like you're in stage 1, which is 0 to 1 million. Like you just need to focus on marketing and sales and don't get distracted. Try to get your name, your brand, your voice out and get eyeballs, as many eyeballs as you possibly can. Try to get those eyeballs to come into your business via appointment, call, whatever it is that you convert at, and then get really good at sales and convert people, and then do your best to try to convert them into long-term clients. Like that is it. Everything boils down to just try to keep your offers as simple as possible, market the absolute hell out of it, and sell as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And I mean, you could say that for any industry, right? Especially in an ultra competitive industry. It could be recruiting, it could be SaaS products, gyms, anything, right?
Yeah. It's anything. I mean, it's the companies. It's funny because like with W.O.L.F, it's same thing, right? We have two levels of, we're trying to attract franchisees because it's a franchise model. And then we also have our gyms. And so I know the gyms really well. I also know the franchise side really well because it's B2B basically.
Right.
And doing that with Gym Launch. So that's really easy. So coming in, getting leads for that actually is very easy. Then some of the consulting clients that I work with, same thing. The same business fundamentals matter across the board. It's like, we need to get more eyeballs to see what we do and what we're about. Try to make sure that the right eyeballs see it, get them at the right time, get them to schedule or book or buy. And it's that simple. Like that's the primary issue that I see across the board. Most of the time it comes down to, we need more cash flow or we need more profit. And that's the majority of the issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so to tie this into gym launch, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, I've heard you were customer number 10 for gym launch back when it was just a Hail Mary idea for Alex and Layla Hormozi, who are now ultra celebrities, I guess you could say, influencers, whatever you want to say. Most people see the CEO title you earn later, but I want to go back to that customer number 10 version of you. What did you see in their vision that made you bet your struggling business on them before they were the Hormozis we know today?
I think I was actually lucky number 13. I think
13. Okay.
I think I was 8 weeks from shutting my doors, so I had no other choice in the way. Like I was either going to shut down, and I had a 3-year lease still, so I was just going to shut down the business and eat the lease, or I had to try something else. I had tried other companies and consulting firms and coaching companies, all that stuff before. What got me to do it is I was actually I was distracted. I was doing online fitness while also having the gym, just trying to make ends meet. And Alex came on as a guest speaker for a session for the online side. And as soon as he started talking, if anyone's ever had spent time with Alex, you get it. The guy just starts talking. You're like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about.
100%.
Right? And he was talking about how he was filling up gyms. And I was like, wait, I'm a gym owner. Maybe this will work for me. So I listened to him. Then I started just literally just trying to search everything that they were doing. So I was like trying to find Alex Hormozi on Facebook, Google, you name it. I looked at some of the Facebook pages that they were running ads on. And I was like, how are they doing this? I tried to figure out a way to reverse engineer it. Didn't work. And of course, because there's very important aspects of it that matter. And then I looked up his testimonials. At the time, I thought it was overwhelming proof, but I think at that time he probably had 13 to 20 testimonials.
Sure.
But to me, I was like, man, this has got to work. So then ended up just hopping on a call, last resort to try to save my gym. And yeah, man, I mean, it completely changed our entire life. My wife and I joke about how we had a life pre-gym launch and then a life post-gym launch.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you end up selling the gym once you turned it around?
Yeah, so we signed up as clients in 2017, like May, I think it was May, started running ads. We went from 33 members to over 250. That may not seem like a lot, but we were the highest priced large group training facility by far in the area and scaled it to that, making a profit, had a full team, built an entire team. So had to go out and figure out how to hire, how to recruit, how to hire, how to train, onboard. Went from basically like one part-time employee to a full team where my wife and I didn't have to be there in 8 months. And then we ended up selling it a year later in March of 2019.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story. So how did you go from being a customer to ultimately working at Gym Launch in sales?
I was actually I got a job before I joined Gym Launch because I wasn't making any money. I was working for a design agency doing sales. So like account manager, doing sales and stuff with that. And then what I did I think it was like April or March of 2018, Alex had posted an ad or a post about how they were hiring for salespeople. And I sent him a message on Facebook Messenger and I was like, hey, just send me your deck and I'll sell for free. Like, I believe in this and like, I'll do it part-time. And he was like, I need someone full-time. And I was like, okay, what does it entail? What do your guys make? All this stuff. And he told me what they made. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And it was commission only. My current role had base, but our gym was doing well. And I was really passionate about what this was. So I went through the interview process and ended up getting hired. And then, yeah, so I was doing sales for 3 months. I remember my first sales call that I had, I was doing internal sales and I went from selling gym stuff that was like $600, $500.
Right.
Tops would be like 2,000. The thing that I was selling was 124,000 or something like that, 121,000. And so first call, didn't get it, but I was like, I stayed on after trying to get this person to close. But then ripped off a whole bunch after that, ended up getting 22 sales in my first month, which was awesome. And
wow.
Yeah, that was fun. And then did that for 3 months. Then they thought it was a good idea to bring me in as sales, make me the sales manager. Because we had directors and we had 2 divisions. They were like, we need just sales manager. We feel like you'd be good. No, I had no experience doing that. But I did that for 9 months, learned a lot about that. That was a huge learning curve for me. I made a lot of mistakes, things that I took from that and helped me when I came to recruiting and trying to find the right people. And then went from that to, we were building out a coaching division for a new product. And because I had experience running a gym, plus coaching gym owners, plus sales, plus all this other stuff, I helped build and run and recruit that. So we built a team of 30 coaches for this new product that launched in 2019. Did that for roughly 9 months. And then in January of 2020, moved into the GM role for Gym Launch right before the old C word happened. And
Yep.
then we were doing great. And then COVID hit and it was just trying to survive for roughly 2 years. And then honestly, it was like, I don't know, yeah, 20 months, maybe not even 18 months. And then we got acquired by APG.
That's awesome, man. That's a good story. So what was, when you moved into the CEO role, what was the hardest skill to basically unlearn when moving from the guy closing the deals, managing the team, to the guy leading the whole ship? That's a big change.
Right up your alley, hiring.
Yep.
Hiring and onboarding, hands down. It's the number one weakness that I see most business owners have. And it's the number one thing that held me back.
And that's interesting. What advice would you give to a business owner, regardless of industry, when they're in that seat, like about hiring the right people? Because obviously that's crucial, especially at an earlier stage when you're investing money in people.
Go and spend a ton of time. Treat it just like any other skill set, because you have every other thing. So let's say I want to go, if I'm really into sales and marketing and I want to go advertise and I want to start a new campaign, right? You're going to go do a ton of research and make sure that campaign goes off well. And you're going to probably do some market research. You're going to do some client research, and you're going to figure out what messaging buckets I should go after. You're going to have experience in copy. You're going to think through the creative. You're going to run lots of different things. A lot of time goes into that. And it's a skill set that's built over time. Where I messed up, and I think I see this with a lot of business owners, and I was exactly like this. I just assumed I would be good at hiring. And I didn't actually build it as a skill. I didn't read a bunch of books before, and I didn't think about it as a skill set. I thought about it as, I need to write great copy to go get someone that's interested. Then I need to just meet them in person, and then we'll probably vibe, and I'll check their experience a little bit, and I'll go off vibes. Basically, I was a vibe hirer.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just like, it was like, oh, you got a hat and you go to Cabot, like you're wearing a hat from Cabot. So, oh, cool. We can immediately vibe on this. This is great. You play golf, like great. Oh yeah, you can do the job. Great. Fantastic. Let's hire you. And then we have onboarding set to a degree, and then you just go through onboard. You'll be great. You'll be fine. And huge mistake. Please don't do that. We also relied too much on, and I'm saying this not because I'm on this podcast. This hurt us a lot. We relied too much on our own ability to go out and try to find people that were looking for work.
Okay.
If we take a step back and we realize, if you're trying to grow a company and you want people to help you grow, those people, the best people, are already working.
Yeah, 100%.
So you need to go recruit them. But I'm running a business. I don't have time to recruit. So I need to go hire great recruiters for specific roles. So it's a skill set. When you get into it and you start to develop that skill set, you learn quickly that you need to really be very clear about where your business is and what the role actually entails and what's actually needed in the business. Too many times I think people hire for future stuff rather than what does the business need right now.
Yeah.
And you have to hire for what the business needs right now. You can't hire a role thinking that I need this person down the road. I'm hiring for this role down the road, when that may never come. And then you're wondering why you're not growing. You need to look at where your business is now and be realistic. I need this role. Define that role, set KPIs around that role, create a scorecard for that role, and then hire for that role. And then don't hire the first person you interview. Go through lots of interviews, talk to a lot of people, and make sure, if you do anything, and I skip this, so many people skip this, do your reference checks. Like, actually do reference checks.
That's a great point. I have mixed feelings on reference checks in general, because most of the time people are just giving you a reference that they know is going to be good. So like, how do you suss that out to make sure you're getting a real reference check?
Yeah. Okay. So here's how you do it. When you do one of your interviews, I have a very structured, by the time I was getting into it and I learned how to do this, I built a very in-depth document and training document for our entire team on how you were supposed to interview people, down to the questions you're supposed to ask, everything else. Here's how you get, real quick, how you get reference checks that aren't just given to you. When you're interviewing someone and you're asking them and going through their experience, you're going to ask them about their manager or the person that they worked with. You also can ask them peer to peer. Okay, you're talking to a sales guy. Great. How did you stack up with the rest of the team? That's all. I was like 2 or 3. Okay, cool. Who was the number 1 person? And they're going to say the name. They're going to be like, cool. How do you spell that? I don't care if it's John Smith. you're going to ask them, okay, is it JOHNS? Like literally spell it out. Be like,
Okay.
cool. Okay, great. What would John, you're like 2 or 3. When we reach out to John, what would John say that you were probably 2 or 3? What would John say?
Yeah.
And then what you do is be like, cool, what's their email address? What's their number? And then it's basically the threat of reference check
Yes.
where you do in the interview where you're like, I will check up on this. And you do that for managers, you do that for direct reports, you do that for peers, anyone that you're like, I want to find this out. And then they're going to give you a set of references, which are always handpicked. They're curated. They're the perfect people. And they probably prep them, right? In some way.
100%.
And this allows you to now be like, in the interview, they're not going to slip up. They're not going to be like, oh, I can't give you their number. They're trying to get the job. They're going to be like, yeah, here's the person. Are they still there? Yes, they are still there. Great. What's their email address? Great. So when we reach out to them, what do you think they're going to say?
That's a great approach. I like that.
Yeah. It helps.
Kind of pressure on them a little bit.
Yep.
Okay. How was the transition as CEO from the company being owned by the Hormozis to the bulk of the company or majority of the company being owned by a private equity firm? Obviously a big change, but what was that like for you?
Yeah, man, what a learning experience. It's just like anything else. It had a lot of great aspects of it and a lot of tough aspects of it. I learned a ton. I'm very thankful for them that they took a shot on me as a first-time CEO, which is not normal that they would do that. I, in fact, fully expected them when we were going through due diligence that they would bring someone in from the outside. Very thankful for that. I have the utmost respect for APG and their entire team. Fraser, who's one of the founder of that and the president, brilliant man, brilliant. Track record is undeniable. They helped me a ton when it came to thinking about business in a different way. They really helped with understanding data and modeling. If anyone's ever been in PE, you understand like the request for data and everything is just nonstop. They helped with hiring. They helped me a ton with finding talent and really just being there to spot check my assumptions. And so it really helped with that. The harder parts for me were I tend to move a little bit faster and I like to take more risks. And so sometimes it's a little bit harder, but I also, for me being first time as with a PE backed or PE owned portfolio group, I didn't understand the windows and like how to play the game as well. If I would have known that, I would have taken more risks early on.
Yeah.
We took one risk right away, which I was thankful that they let me do it. And it worked out exactly how I said, but I would have taken more risk earlier on when we first got purchased rather than later.
Sure.
But I was dealing with data that I had and like we had to adjust. If hindsight's 2020, but if I could go back, I would have taken more risk early because they're more willing to do that.
Yeah.
But when you get to that window of getting closer to a potential sale or something like that, you don't want to make changes.
Yeah. No, that's super interesting. I love that perspective. Definitely done my fair share of recruiting for PE backed firms and you're spot on.
Yeah.
I'm curious, you don't have to give specifics or anything, but what ultimately led you to move on from Gym Launch and into W.O.L.F Gyms?
So I'll talk about W.O.L.F first. So the founder, Tony, incredible human, built an amazing brand, came to me in 2024, middle of 2024. We met actually at GymCon in May of 2024. And we had a discussion, then we met later on, had calls, then finally met in person. And he wanted me to be a part of the ownership team because he wanted to build this incredible ownership team to help take this brand and grow it. And it took some convincing because I was the anti-franchise guy for a while with Gym Launch, just with what I saw and the franchise that we worked with. But I remember spending a day grilling him about that unit economics, to his vision, to what happens if this happens, what would you do if this happens? And he built the franchise exactly how I would want to. And like, he says it perfectly. He's like, my wife and I, when we designed this, we did it so that when someone slid the franchise agreement across the table to us, we would sign it. And this is coming from a guy who built his own stuff.
That's awesome.
And that, I was a huge believer in that. I love business economics of it. And so in 2024, I bought into the ownership team. And then I've been helping them. I wasn't able to help them that much as I wanted to, just due to being CEO and being busy.
Sure.
I think at the time, it was just time for me to part ways. I'd been trying to make some changes and do some things that I believed were the right ones, but understand, I think I'm going to take ownership on a lot of stuff. I don't think I communicated as well as I should have. I don't think I was as direct as I should have in board meetings and other communication of like how important and vital some of the changes need to were needed to be made, like how important it was. And I think at the end of the day, it was the right decision, me putting in my resignation. I'm very happy that I did. I love Gym Launch. I love the team. It's in great hands and they're going to continue to grow, but it was just time for me to move on. I'd been with the company for 7.5 years.
Yeah. No, I
So
love the self-awareness, man. That's deep.
it's the only, if I have any skill, it's probably that, which everything's on a spectrum, right? I think self-aware is also self-deprecating in a lot of ways.
Sure. Absolutely.
Where I always feel, oh, you get it, man. I played baseball and like I was always the small kid. I was always the runt, dude. Like
Right.
always. I was the smallest kid, have to work my ass off. And that rewarded me in some ways. And then that same behavior, because it got rewarded, I still carry that into other areas. But other areas, like now, it doesn't serve me because I have a ton of experience. I have a lot of this stuff. And sometimes it holds me back from doing other things because I still have those same insecurities, those same doubts, all that stuff. But the self-awareness definitely helps me stay humble and understand. And I'll give this advice to people. I think this helped me grow really fast. And so I get asked this question all the time of like, how did you go from salesperson to CEO in basically
4 years, right?
less than 4 years?
Yep.
And it's like, I was self-aware enough to know what my deficits were. And I didn't have an idea if I wanted to be CEO. I just wanted to help the organization. And so I was like, I have to be really good at the role that I'm in. So I would spend 3 months on a specific skill that I knew I wasn't great in my role. And I would read as many books, listen to as many podcasts, watch as many YouTubes as I possibly could in 3 months. And then I would practice that. And then I would move on to the next thing. And then I would move on to the next thing. And so I was always just skill stacking and skill acquisition. I was skill acquisition focused.
Yep.
And that's what helped me grow really fast.
That's awesome. That's a good kind of segue into my next question, last Hormozi question. What would you say is the biggest or most important thing you learned from Alex or Layla, and how were they as mentors? I'm sure you learned a lot. This is a big
Yeah, that's
question.
so hard. Let me start with them as humans. They're amazing online. They're so much better in person. Like I don't think they don't get the chance. I'm blessed to call them friends.
Right.
And to have been in the trenches with them and to have gone through a lot of stuff, hard times in business. And I'm very blessed that they trusted me and they're incredible mentors. Incredible. Just the other day, I hit up Alex and this is the first time I think I've done this in a really long time, ever, maybe. And I just hit him up and I was like, hey, I need your advice. And you can call me, let me know when a call or text. I can do it either way. Not expecting anything. The dude called me 2 minutes later. And like, that's the
Amazing.
type of people that they are. And Layla's the same way. I
Love to
remember
hear
when I
that.
went to go resign and I was scared, dude, because like I'm loyal to Alex and Layla, like through and through. And I called Layla, and we had a conversation and she fully supported me resigning.
That's amazing.
And so as humans, they're incredible. As mentors, they're incredible. Layla has this supernatural gift of being able to truly understand what someone is really good at and then really helping them, helping them both psychologically as well as organizationally, put them in the right position to succeed and get really good. Alex is obviously the best, I would say the best in the world at being able to understand business models and how to make them profitable. Like
100%.
by far. The number one thing that I learned from them is, it's hard, number one. I would say one of the things that I think is the most important that I learned from Alex specifically would be understanding what's the primary problem in the business. It's understanding at the high level that there's usually one constraint, one problem, right?
Sure.
We talk about this at their scaling workshops, but it's so true. There's one problem that's keeping the business from moving to the next level. Now, the next level might be just one little bit forward that
Right.
then sequencing matters, that you then sets you up for the next thing. When you solve that, then you have explosive growth. It all depends on what's going on. But you have to be so hyper focused on solving that one problem and cut out all the other distractions.
Yeah.
That's what I learned a ton from him. I also learned the value of, I learned that it takes an unreasonable amount of work to be very good at something.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, the constraint thing, I was blown away by that when I went to the workshop. I was lucky enough to attend one of the acquisition workshops in March of last year. I think it was March last year. And his ability to, on the fly, dissect a business, any industry, and tell you what your constraint is and what you should do differently is second to none. It was just incredible to see in person, a great learning experience for myself as well. So it was really cool to see that live in action. You watch the podcast, the videos, whatever, and you get a ton of information from that. But to see it in action on the fly is just something else.
Yeah. And it's impressive because he works and can do it with so many different types of business models. But the reason why is because he's seen a lot of them, but he also understands business at its core. So once you understand how business works and models and how acquisition works and like the important aspects of it, and you build frameworks and you think from mental models like that, then you can work across lots of different businesses.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last gym question. I know you're a big gym guy, obviously. How would you say consistent training in the gym has led to success in other areas of your life, whether it's relationships, business, down the line?
It comes down to keeping your word to yourself. I think that's it's probably the most important thing, because how you think about yourself is going to impact a lot of your life. And I actually don't like working out.
Really? Okay.
I don't enjoy it. I do it because I know I need to, and I do it because it pushes me. And I usually wake up early, but if I could, I would actually rather work than go work out.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I know I need to, and I want to set a good example for my kids. I want to be fit for my wife. Like I promised her, like when we made our vows and like when we talked, and it was like, we are going to stay fit for each other, because that's a respect thing for me. I respect my wife enough to take care of my own body. And it becomes one of those things where it just becomes a habit.
Yeah.
I think if people are struggling with it, the biggest problem that most people have is they start thinking about, if I'm going to try to do this thing and I'm just starting out, I'm going to go all in and I have to do it all in.
Sure.
Problem is like you're already busy. You already have work. You already have kids. You already have all these things in your life. You need to say no to something else because there's no other time that you have. And so instead of trying to add this whole thing in, and now it's like you set these unrealistic expectations for yourself. Instead, what if you just went to the gym for 15 minutes? Let's talk, if you're listening to this and you already broke your New Year's resolution, right? Instead, go back to the gym tomorrow. Just go in, set a timer for 15 minutes. Do whatever you want for 15 minutes. You don't even have to work out. You can just go on a treadmill for 15 minutes. As soon as your timer goes off, walk out. That's it. Then do it again the next day, just 15 minutes. Do that for a week or two. And the reason why is you're not actually trying to work out. You're trying to build the habit of getting up and actually getting to the gym.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And so then when you do that, number one, you're going to be shocked that, wait, I could have done more. 15 minutes, that's it. I feel like I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then every day you're like, I could do more, but resist that urge and just walk out. Then come back the next day. One, you won't be as sore as what you would be if you went in and hit every single machine. So then you're like, I can't do it. You can do it. And you're training yourself to actually get to the gym.
Yeah, that's great. What about the mental side of it? Because I guess my biggest struggle, and my wife would say the same, as a business owner, it's high stress. You've got a million things on your mind. Sometimes I struggle with sleeping. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about some candidate, if they're going to accept the job or whatever the situation is. I'm sure many business owners can empathize with that. For me, I'm a big routine guy. Even if I don't want to work out, if I just do 20 minutes, whatever, it feels good. I go to the sauna, I go to the cold plunge. I feel like that type of stuff helps me mentally. Do you view the consistent routine as a big positive from a mental standpoint and helping you achieve big things?
I think I'm going to be different than a lot of other people.
Okay.
With this. Not really.
Interesting.
My wife, it's funny, my wife is the exact opposite. We'll go do a hard workout, like a tough leg day. Dude, I don't want to talk. I don't get the endorphin rush. I'm dead. Like, I actually am like pissed. I'm like, this sucked. And then my wife is talkative and this is great. This is amazing. I feel incredible. And I'm like, I'd want to die. My place of re-energizing myself is on the golf course.
Okay.
That's where I go. But I think working out, one of the things that helps is, okay, life is hard. Business is hard. If you want to live as long as you possibly can, we know the data shows, and this is irrevocable, that you need to exercise in some form or fashion, whatever that is. I don't care about pickleball, but resistance training also is the number one thing that helps extend life, right? And so resistance training, if it's hard and you don't like to do it, do the hard thing first thing in the morning and get it done.
Yep.
And so eat your frog. right? The term eat your frog. Eat your frog. What is the hard thing that you have to do? Do it first and then start your day. And if you just commit to that as a business owner, you already have discipline. You already do hard things. If this is the aspect that you're missing and you want it, like for some people, it is like for you, like it helps you mentally. For me, it doesn't. Like I honestly I've gone stretches where it doesn't affect me at all. I get annoyed at myself because I notice my composition change and that's annoying.
Yeah,
Right? But it's
definitely.
not like this makes me tougher or harder. I've actually gotten more mental toughness from business hardship than ever working out or anything like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hear you on the business side of things. You definitely get tough mentally for sure. Especially in recruiting when you get burned every way possible by people.
Yeah. Dude, I could not do what you do.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's fun. It's got its perks for sure. All right, let's transition into high performance talent. So at Gym Launch, you oversaw massive growth. Talk to us about your hiring hierarchy philosophy and why you believe a clear vision is the only thing that attracts top talent. You touched on it earlier, but maybe dive in a little bit deeper on that.
Yeah. So a couple things. If you're trying to hire, which type of business owner should we talk to right now? Because there's lots of different ones.
I would say earlier stage startups because that's like our niche as a recruiting firm. I would say anything from pre-seed through Series A. Let's just say that.
Okay. All right. So couple things. One, if you're in that stage, it's startup, the vision, like you mentioned, the vision has to be big. So you have to have a big enough vision to attract really great people. If it's a really small vision and you're like, let's say my TAM isn't that big and we're only working in a very niche thing, like your hiring TAM is going to shrink as well.
Yeah.
And so the bigger the vision, the better the talent that you're going to attract. However, you have to be prepared as a startup, as a founder. You first have to lead that life and that vision, and you have to show up really well for your team. Otherwise, you could attract great talent, but then quickly word's going to get out that you're not a great leader and you're not great at following through. You don't keep your word. You don't show up. You expect everyone else to do the work. If you're that type of person, you will always struggle to hire great people. So you have to first live that out. So you have to show up first. You have to show up consistently for your team, and you have to hold standards. And so having that vision of business wise, this is where we're going. You have to clearly communicate that. And you have to be excited and have conviction around that. Then when it comes to the other stuff, you have to have a process in place on how you're going to hire. And there's a great book called Who. Highly suggest reading that. There's tons of stuff on hiring. I love that because it's simple and it goes against most of the conventional stuff in the past that you would hear. It cuts out all the stuff, any biases or anything, and it goes off what scientifically is proven to help you hire the best people. And it can be really long and it can feel like the interview process drags on, but it's highly effective for finding the right candidates.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the big things I learned from you guys at Gym Launch and acquisition.com and the Portcos, the scorecard philosophy, I'll call it. I know you're a big believer in employee scorecards, whether it's in the interview process or even just performance reviews, things of that nature. But how do you personally differentiate between a good employee and a top biller equivalent in the fitness or the SaaS world?
So there's it depends on the role, but really comes down to, there's two things. You have to look at the data around their role. Are they actually driving business and are they hitting the KPIs that you have set and exceeding those? And the other thing would be more of the culture aspect. Do they show up well with the team? Are they great teammates? Do they actually fit into the ultimate culture of what we want here? Some cultures want everyone to be nice and to be friendly. I don't think that's a winning culture. I think people should be, I'll use the word combative, but not in a mean way. There should be grace with that, but they should question things. They should push back and they should bring problems up and try to solve those problems. And they should hold standards because that's what champion teams do. When you look at any great high performing team, they're not always liked, but they're well respected.
Absolutely.
And they push each other. And so the best ones are the ones that not only they are hyper focused and do really well in their current role, but they're also looking at the rest of the organization of like, how can we improve? And they're trying to figure out a way to help solve that.
Yeah.
But what works in one role doesn't always work in another. There's core competencies that are important for each role, but those differ based on the role.
Yeah, no, that's good. What about, you touched on culture there. In your opinion, how does a leader or leaders within an organization, how do they build a positive culture or a good culture? Is it more so living by your core competencies or your mission statement, whatever it is, or is there more to it?
Culture is behavior. And so if you set a core set of behaviors and set the expectation for how we will behave and how we will think in the office, like at the end of the day, the behaviors are the most important part. So this is how we behave. And you reward those behaviors and you find what people want, what motivates them, and you reward the right behaviors, then you're going to attract more of those people and you will immediately find out who doesn't fit well within that. And it doesn't mean that they're a terrible person or anything like that. It just, they need to go find a different culture.
Yeah.
If you bend on those, and this is, I made this mistake. I think every founder is, or CEO or has made this mistake, but
100%.
if you bend on those, then you will crack at some point. And so you have to really hold the line on the standard for behavior and what you expect. And you have to say it consistently. Like you have to talk about how we behave. This is who we are. This is what it means to work here. This is what it means to be a part of this, right? In order for us to get to this vision, the only way we're able to get there is if we act like this and we do these things. And this is who we are. And so it has to be an identity switch for them. And then you have to hold that expectation. And then you have to be very ruthlessly fast in cutting people that don't live up to those.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. I love that. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, at some point, I believe I heard you do a talk or a video on boring work and how it drives growth. Can you break down why most entrepreneurs and recruiters for that matter fail because they're chasing the next shiny object or great thing instead of mastering the basics?
I think it becomes, when I say boredom, like boring work, the reason why I say boring work is because it's the stuff that we don't like to do, but it usually has a massive impact on the business. An example of this would be like if you're in sales and you need to make more sales, if you have to look at the different, depending on what channel you use, right? There's 4 different channels, main channels that you can go, ways to get leads. Find
Right.
one and say cold calling, right? So if cold calling is your way of doing it, no one actually really likes cold calling.
Of course.
But if it works, pick up the phone, smile and dial, baby.
Yep.
And most people move on from that really fast because they're like, I just don't really, if you like brush away a lot of this stuff, it just comes down to people just don't like doing it. That's why they move to something else. Or they're not very good at it because they didn't spend enough time actually doing it. And it requires intense focus and ruthless focus on making sure you're not getting distracted and being willing to work through and endure the pain of not being great at something long enough to where you suck less and where you don't suck at all. And I think people just move away from, they move towards comfort and away from discomfort in business rather than being like, I'm a business owner. Now that I'm a business owner or founder, I am beholden to the business. I have to say no to I have to say no to comfort and what I might want to do. And I have to do what's best for the business. And if that means I have to pick up the phone and I have to cold call people for 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day, then I have to do that. If it means I have to write scripts for UGC ads or scripts for videos or copy, or I have to sit down and write out SOPs. I don't like SOPs. I'm a vision person. Well, congratulations. You're probably not going to grow. Or you're going to have to hire someone and your margins are going to decrease. Like you got to get better at those things.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad you brought up cold calling because nowadays I feel like that's the way I learned how to sell. I had literally a checklist and 100 calls a day, whatever, and just did that consistently for years. And nowadays I do feel like cold calling is a true differentiator because everyone seems to hide behind their AI campaigns or their AI outreach campaigns, whatever you want to call it. I can't even tell you, and I'm sure it happens to you too, how many emails I get on a daily basis that are trying to sell me something, whether it's lead gen services or, oh, we'll set you 10 meetings a week. And I've actually fallen for this trap a couple times and it doesn't work. But I do believe nowadays a big differentiator is just picking up the phone, and people crave that actual human connection.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And it will get even more as AI continues to get bigger.
So if you're listening to that as a salesperson, pick up the phone.
Dude, pick up the phone. And also one thing that I messed up, here's a lesson if you want to learn this. So there's 3 types of people in the world. There's stupid people, there's smart people, there's geniuses. Stupid people make the same mistake over and over again, touch the stove, burn themselves, do it again, same thing. Smart people, they look at it, they're like, oh, that must have hurt, but you know what? It probably won't hurt me. I'm going to touch the stove. They get burned. They don't do it again. They learn from it. They move on. Geniuses, they look at the two, they look at the stupid person, the smart person. They're like, that looks like it hurts. I'm not going to do that. I'll go the opposite way. So if you are a genius and you want to be a genius, here's some stuff from, if you're the type of person that doesn't like to network and you don't like to create relationships, learn from my mistake. I wish I had been doing this my entire career, but I did not. And I'm trying to work on this now, is like your ability to grow and scale will be directly correlated to the relationships and the network that you have. And so even in my limited network, it has opened up incredible doors for me. And for those of you that are younger and trying to get in, or you're a founder, you need to go meet with people and you need to go do it on a consistent basis. Just go grab lunch, grab a coffee, doesn't matter. Set aside time on your calendar to go meet with people in person, or just do a Zoom check-in. I have Zoom check-ins now with buddies that are in business every month. Like we do Zoom calls and I don't need anything from them. I just stay in touch. That's it.
Yeah.
And you will be shocked at how quickly you're able to grow and what doors open for you if you just do that.
Man, that's such a great point, because we started Cruit Group 5 years ago, and I look at my business and what I bring in the door, and probably 80% of the business that I bring in personally is from my network, because I've always been a good networker and I treat people with respect and I follow up with them. I keep in touch. I think that's my biggest strong suit as a business owner, as a salesperson, is my network. And man, that's good advice, because the amount of referrals we get from people that we've had success with is awesome. So that's big, in addition to doing the boring work.
Yep. And that's boring work for me. I constitute boring work as stuff you don't want to do.
Yep.
And I don't like doing that. I'd rather just sit here and work and do all this stuff. But that is the boring work that I need to do. I need to go meet people, talk to people, just develop relationships.
Love that. All right. I'm going to call this a Caleism. I've heard you say your cost per lead is a trap. How does that apply to the talent industry? Are we focusing too much on getting new candidates and not enough on nurturing our pipeline?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think it depends on the situation, but yes, I think you need to cast a pretty wide net in regards to try to get as many ops as possible. But then once you hone in on probably, let's say it's a director level role or higher, once you hone in on like your top 3 candidates or 4 candidates, you need to spend a ton of time with them and working that. And also, if you have a pipeline of people that have shown interest, you should work that pipeline and go back to that pipeline. It's a well that you've created, go back to that. And like they've already shown interest in working with you, or being a part of your business, go back to that, because it doesn't cost you anything now. And you can usually find some diamonds in there as long as you continue to work.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, last couple questions. I want to talk a little bit more about leadership, and we'll call it the human element. Let's talk about relentless focus. I often ask my guests what makes a top performer. I know you're a volume beats luck guy, I'd say. How do you coach someone through burnout when they're in the high volume reps required to succeed, when they are doing the high volume reps?
So I think burnout is interesting. I think burnout happens there's a lot of reasons why burnout happens. I'm not a psychologist, not any of this. This is just from my own take on this, because I've experienced what people would call burnout in the past. And I think burnout happens, or has happened for me, and I've seen this with other people, that feeling that they get, which isn't true, by the way. Feelings aren't true. Like, they're valid, but they're not true. They can lie to you. You can still have feelings. It's not that you should ignore them, but you don't have to act according to those feelings.
Absolutely.
Where people lose the vision of like where they're trying to go and what they're trying to accomplish, and expectations were not set appropriately. So if I have a team member, it's my job to set the right expectations for someone. If someone's coming in and cold calling and it's like, our data shows that it's going to take 1,000 phone calls to get one close, I'm not going to tell that person, cool, you'll get it. Like, just dial 100, you'll get somebody. Like, I'm going to set the right expectations, and I'll probably oversell. I'll be like, honestly, it's probably going to take 2,000 dials to get your first one. But then over time, you'll get to 1,500, and then it'll get to 1,000. And then maybe like you'll smash it and you'll get to 500 or 750. You want to set the right expectations, and you want to then set this person up for success by making sure, reverse engineering what great looks like, not good, what great looks like, start at the end, and then reverse engineer the behaviors and the habits and the traits that are needed to get there.
Yeah.
And then really make sure with your team that they have something outside of work that they enjoy. This is perfect. When I was in college, my senior year, we had a psychologist working with us. And I started off really hot during the season, and then I went through a slump. And like mechanically, I was okay. I had some issues mechanically, but not big. And I started hating baseball. Like you've been through a
Oh
slump and you're
yeah.
just like, dude, this sucks. And I'd never actually gone through that before. I was also at a time when scouts were coming to games and there was potential of getting drafted. And you get this pressure. And I was just like, man, this is tough right now. And I remember sitting down with him and he was just like, when was the last time you went surfing? Like, when was the last time
Yeah.
you did anything but think about baseball? And I was like, I have no idea. And he's like, dude, just go surf. Because I was in St. Augustine, Florida, I'd surf and I'd surfed a little bit. He's like, go surf. And so next day, after practice, went and surfed. And then next day, did something else different, got away from baseball. And then you just get this new, refreshing look at what it is. And you also learn to appreciate what you had before rather than just sitting in the pain all the time. Get out of it. Life doesn't have to
Yes.
be that way. That's why I golf.
That's awesome. I have a very similar philosophy because I personally do struggle with burnout sometimes just because I'm still working 12 hours a day. I'm a grinder, and I still work out and all that, but I do make sure I take time to step away and go golfing or go on vacation and try to unplug whatever the situation is. So I 100% wholeheartedly agree with you that it's important to have something outside of work, whether it's a hobby or passion, whatever it is, to reset and take your focus off things. And if you're in a sales slump, that stuff helps. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember we had some sales guys and they were struggling. I remember one time being like, do you play golf or what do you do outside? I was like, okay, stop, go.
Yeah.
Just go. Get out of
Yeah.
here. Go have fun. Don't even think about it. Come back. We'll hit it tomorrow.
Yep. No, that's good stuff, man. All right. I want to talk about family and business. I know you worked with your wife, Maggie, for several years, and I work with my wife now. How did you manage the boundary between building an empire, building a business, and, being a dad and a husband?
Explicit communication, which is the same thing every leader needs anyway, but like explicit. What I mean, and the word explicit in the sense of not clear, explicitly clear communication. We're very open about we're very open about everything, how we felt, if something ticked us off in the business, if something annoyed us with how we were showing up with each other. And we had explicit communication and very fast communication. So we didn't sit on stuff. If we felt something, we said it, even if we might be wrong. We were willing to own that. And then I always remember one of the biggest things is just remember that you are a team and that at the end of the day, you guys could go start, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to like anyone out there that's
Yeah.
married, working with a spouse, is that you have to remember that the first thing that came together most likely was you, and the business either was grown from that or continued to grow because of that union that you guys have. That's the most important thing, not the business or anything else. The business just pays the bills. Like your marriage is way more important, especially if you have kids. It's way more important than any of the other stuff. You could go make
Yeah.
money doing something else. So don't lose the fact that you're on the same team and that if one person wins, you win. Like you both win. And so
That's great advice.
I think too many times people just get caught up in their own head and they don't communicate. And when you communicate, even the problems, the issues, all that stuff, and you're willing to explicitly talk about that and set expectations for each other, and you follow through with those things, you can have a mind-blowing relationship while building an incredible business.
That's good stuff, man. That's great advice. I appreciate that personally as well. I guess last couple quick one hitters. You mentioned the book Who. I'm going to check that out, but I know you're a reader and I try to read 12 books a month, or not a month, a year. Sorry.
I was going to say, wow.
I don't have time to read 12 books
Might
a
cut
year.
back on that.
And I'm actually off to a slow start. What's another book you'd recommend to, let's just say, give me two, one for sales folks, because I can attribute that to recruiters as well, and one for entrepreneurs.
Read The Motive for Entrepreneurs by Patrick Lencioni.
Okay. He's a great author. Love him.
Yep. Read Influence and Persuasion by Robert Cialdini.
Influence and Persuasion.
Yep. Those are two separate books. Read those two for sales and marketers.
Awesome. Love that. Cool. Last thing, what advice would you give to a leader, CEO, founder, whatever, that's in the $1 million to $3 million annual revenue range?
Get really good at hiring. Become the best. Don't outsource hiring. Like in the sense of like within internally, you should use recruiters to help you scale. And like you should be an expert at hiring. Don't rely on your team to be great at it. You should be the leader in that and you're going to go from growth and you're still going to be growing. But the thing that's going to get you to the next stage is bringing the right people on board. And the thing that will kill your business is bringing the wrong people on board. And so at that moment, for most businesses trying to scale, is the thing holding you back is having the right people. And so you need to be the best that you can possibly be at hiring.
Yeah, no, that's great. Love that. All right, man. I really appreciate your time. It's been fun to catch up. Where can the people find you if they want to look you up?
Instagram, all my handles on pretty much every social media. I post the most probably on Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying to start a Substack at some point, but
Cale Owen, CaleOwen on Instagram, TikTok, same thing. That's pretty much it.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for your time. It's been great, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.